Hey guys, it's Bart Johnson here, NAB 2016. I am here in the Atomos HDR Dome with Tony. And you guys have some new products on display here. You've got both the Flame series of the Ninja and the Shogun, but then you guys have also got something called the Inferno, and you guys are getting into, obviously, HDR. So what's going on? What's HDR? What are you guys working on?
Absolutely. HDR, high dynamic range. It's super exciting. I think even as an end user rather than just from a shooting point of view, we've always been looking at TVs and with this restricted brightness range. We never look at a sunset on the television and go, shield your eyes like you would in reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just accept it.
Yeah.
That's what TV does.
Yeah.
But these days, cameras and televisions are doing much more. You can see more of the white, more of the black in the one scene, more of this dynamic range.
It's not all squished into that sort of broadcast range of what we have usually is Rec 709, where even if you capture all of your highlights and all your shadows, when you grade it for Rec 709 or broadcast, you just squish it.
It's totally true, yeah. And so now we're seeing really, instead of the flat panel brands are focusing not on how many pixels they've got, they're concentrating on more brightness range out of each of those pixels, which is great. That's what HDR is.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
End users are going to love it. Netflix, Amazon, those guys are demanding it for content.
Really?
The secret sauce, which I think is great for everyone, is the cameras already do it because log is HDR. It's up to 15 stops of dynamic. That's your eye only does 16 to 20, so that's great. The camera's already doing it, and as you correctly said, Bart, this is the restriction. You're coming out 14 or 15 stops of dynamic range and having to work inside a 6-stop dynamic range world, which is LCDs.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why it's a log signal. We're taking 14 stops and bending the curve to fit inside that 6-stop
to fit in that
limit.
space.
That's right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Shooters are happy. If you look at the Shogun here, what we're doing is we're taking a log signal out of the Panasonic here, and it's looped through to the Shogun Flame, the new one, and the Shogun. Both of these are a flat log image, like we do now. And then, as you were saying before, you'd either apply a LUT, or some people will put a grayscale card in front, like 18% grey, and based on this log, we'll go to this IRE, this log, we go to these rules of thumb.
Exactly.
But it's complicated. And outside of the shooter, nobody else is happy, because you look at that and go, yep, stoked, I've got all my dynamic range. But the director over your shoulder would be going, what are you, a chump? Like, that looks terrible.
Yeah,
you know
it's all flat and washed out.
What's it going to look like?
Yeah.
And so you would have normally apply LUTs, but LUTs are not accurate, not 100% accurate at getting the final. It's the same LUT that works on every single monitor, of course, can't be accurate on all of those monitors.
Yeah,
so
because all the monitors are going to display those different values differently.
Right? They're all different
and they're
color,
not ever going to be
lumens.
15 or whatever stops that your camera is.
That's right, exactly. So what we've done is, because we've got total control over our screens from input through to output, image processing, everything in between, we've perfectly mapped the log curves for all the major brands. And so we're able to re-show you what the final HDR result is going to look like. So let me do that. I'll show you how easy we've done it as well. The waveform I've got up on both is a really important thing. You can see at the moment we've got the log signal coming in, and if we affect our exposure, like the temptation would be to bring this down because it looks a bit hot, but you're losing all of your dynamic range.
Yeah, you're squishing it.
We want that luminance detail. So we ram that up, and now I'm going to go in and put on Atom HDR. So we've been in log, now we're going to put in Atom HDR. We've got our Panasonic camera selected, and then we've got this slider here, SDR to HDR. And you'll notice on the waveform this little green line that goes up and down the waveform. It dances up and down. What you want to do is just position that so it's just at the top of your waveform. That is what final HDR in post-production is going to look like, perfectly mapped for this scene.
And that looks pretty damn close to what we're looking at right here, actually, in real life too, and here in the display.
And that's what we say, shoot what you see.
Yeah.
And lots of DPs are saying to us, it's sort of like, the waveform's good and this is nice and easy, but they're saying they're getting back to old school filmmaking, which is frame it, expose it, focus it, shoot it.
Yeah.
Not mucking around with
you don't have to mess around with all the stuff and what I
shit.
can and can't see and all that kind of stuff.
So that's one part of it. You're able to review with confidence and with simplicity what HDR is going to look like on screen. Not just you as a shooter, but also your entire crew. The second thing is, not only is it HDR just reviewing on the screen, Oh, we should say we're recording still to log, so it's totally non-destructive.
So it's not destructive. You're recording to log.
We're
You're
not
holding on
baking
to it.
anything in.
So it's not baked in. It's non-destructive. You're only viewing it for monitoring purposes, but you're still recording that great full dynamic range log image that's coming out of your camera.
That's exactly right. So the point of doing it on screen is that you can see and get your exposure just perfect, knowing what the final result's going to look like, and everyone else does as well. And it's easy to know your dynamic range for this. The second thing about HDR is that we've added in output and input for HDRs. If we think about what the standards are for HDR, there's a brightness standard and there's a color standard. So there's lots of people talking about BT 2020, you'll hear these buzzwords, BT 2020.
I've heard that one.
DCI-P3. These are all color space standards for HDR.
Okay.
The luminance, which is what we're talking about here, your brightness range, is PQ or ST2084. That's the standard laid out by SMPTE, so you don't have all these different curves from all these different brands. You've got a single standard for
You've
brightness.
got one standardized across.
That's right.
All right.
So that means flat panel screens and things like that. So the panels coming out this year from Sony and Samsung and LG.
They're going to end up matching and using
They're
that
going to
standard.
have that same standard, which is great news. But what we can do is we can take that PQ out of here and feed it into those televisions. So you can get a big screen HDR experience out of the Shogun on set.
So you could have something running to your monitor on your camera so that you have this and you can see that, but then you can also send that out to if you wanted a giant client monitor.
Exactly.
And they're actually going to see this.
Exactly what you see there, exactly. Perfect. Now that's cool, but I think what's more exciting is we can do PQ in. So at the moment, when it comes to grading your HDR footage, you're up for a $30,000 reference monitor from, like a 2000 nit Sony or Dolby or something like that, which they're beautiful, but they are $30,000.
Yeah, it's expensive.
This is a 10-bit panel now from an 8-bit, 1500 nit brightness, and can accept PQ from your NLE. So Adobe, who have announced PQ output at NAB, you'll be able to feed that in, and instead of telling it that I'm seeing a Panasonic signal, now you tell the Shogun, I'm seeing PQ.
PQ.
And
so you can use this as an editing monitor.
Right.
To just plop it on your desk, or even if, something like this where I'm editing on the go at a show, I'm off of a laptop, set this up as a second monitor, run my PQ out, and I get this image
as HDR.
Directly from my editor in HDR.
Yep.
That's awesome.
It's awesome, isn't it?
And all that's over HDMI.
And all that's or SDI.
Or SDI.
Yeah, and they go Shogun. So it's pretty amazing. So that's what we've done here. If you don't shoot HDR, that's the rules. It really is to understand, have I got a HDR scene? Is the scene I'm looking at and shooting a high dynamic range scene? If it is, and you've got a log camera, you just use HDR in your home. If you haven't got a HDR scene, it's well lit, or it's fits inside Rec 709, you can take it. This is log, so it looks washed out, but if this was well lit Rec 709, now you can use the brightness slider and the fact that this is a 1500 nit panel to go outdoor, hood-free.
Yeah, that means you're going to be able to see that outside.
Exactly. No reflections, you're pumping out more light than's coming in.
And what were the nits on the original Shogun?
400 nits.
400 versus 1500.
1500.
And in most situations, I'm fine with the brightness of the old Shogun as well. So 1500. Wow.
It's crazy, huh?
Yeah. Not gonna have any problem seeing that.
No, it's really cool. So you get both situations there. The other addition, I suppose, from Shogun is that we've added in dual batteries. So
very nice.
We've got a dual battery system now. When one drains,
swappable.
It swaps them out.
So you got continuous power with that.
Continuous power is what we call it. Exactly. We put the DC at the back, so it's not off to the side, which was a bit of user feedback. And we include a DC to DTAP coil cable with so you can hook it up to VLOX
so you include that
system.
now?
We include that as well.
I made my own for my.
There you go. We realised we made a bit of a mistake doing that.
No, but that's fine though. The fact that you listen and realize that something that people are doing and are working on is something that is great, because now they won't have to make one.
That's right. And probably the biggest one we got feedback on is the ergonomics. We've built in some rubberized protection.
Some bumpers and stuff.
And also a little lip on the front, so that when you're placing it down,
you're not resting flat on the screen.
Exactly. So other bits that we got from users that we went, yep, that makes sense.
Just simple little things though.
We'll put it in, so that's been good. So that's sort of the key upgrades. The Flames are here now. So the Ninja Flame is $12.95.
Okay.
Which is the same price as the Assassin was. So we've kept the same price, added in HDR, 10-bit, 1500 nit. And Ninja Assassin now gets full accessories, just like you got with your Shogun.
Yep.
Assassin had limited accessories. Now for that same
now
price
it's got
point,
a full range.
It's got full full service.
Very nice.
Silver service. And then the Shogun Flame is a little cheaper actually than the original Shogun. It's $16.95.
Okay.
You get the SDI as a step up from the Ninja. You get XLR breakout. They're
Yep.
the key step ups.
Yep.
And with that SDI, you get RAW from camera at the moment, RAW to ProRes.
Yeah.
And now we'll do RAW to RAW in Q3. So you'll be able to do Cinema DNG. That'll be a free update
wow.
for Shogun users
That's great.
as well. So that's coming in Q3. And then the Shogun Flame, yeah, $16.95. And the announcement at the show has been the Shogun Inferno.
That's right.
And that is $19.95.
Okay.
Q3 of this year.
Okay.
And it's got all the same monitoring functionality, but we've stepped it up with recording. We've gone to 4K 60p recording.
Oh,
And we've gone to HD 240 frames recording. So we bumped up, we put quad SDI on the back.
So you're really keeping up with the cameras that are moving faster and faster.
Right
ahead.
on the edge. We're trying to be as fast with the technology uptake as possible. We'll have quad link on the back SDI, so hooking up to cameras that output 4B and C for their 4K. That'll slot straight
in order to handle all that data output. Yeah.
So that's sort of the key improvements for existing users. We haven't forgotten them. So as I said, we're going to give Shogun Studio and Shogun users, when we do develop Cinema DNG RAW for the Inferno, we're going to make it as a free update for Shogun users, Shogun Flame users, and Shogun Studio. So that's one good thing.
So we'll get that functionality in
You'll
there.
get that for free. And then the other thing that we've added is we're going to have a firmware in mid-May, so next month, where you'll get a preview of HDR on your Shogun.
all right.
It won't be, this is 8-bit.
It's not a 10-bit panel.
It's not a 10-bit panel, and it's not 1500 nits. So
but you'll get a look at basically the idea of how to work with it and what it.
It'll
what
be
it
better
works
than
like.
using a LUT, for example, as looking at what you can do. You can still
Very
do
nice.
the LUTs. You've still got your custom look section where you can upload your own LUTs, do all that, But this is the accuracy because it's purpose built for this particular panel and the particular log curve. It's perfect to resolve what the final result's going to look like in the field.
That's great, and you can even see the difference between an 8-bit and a 10-bit panel here. Like how many different gradations of different colors and luminance there are. So that's very cool. That's great, and so that's on all of them. It's the Shogun, the Ninja, and the Inferno.
Yep.
Or sorry, the Flames and the Inferno basically.
Actually, the blades
are
as well.
HDRs.
So even the HD range, the 495 Ninja blade
We'll
and
be getting
Samurai
this.
blade will be able to get that.
And the only
as well.
difference is you don't necessarily have the 10-bit panel.
You got a 400 nit screen, and you got so you think with high dynamic range, it starts at a high bright point and sweeps away. So you're starting at a lower brightness to start with.
Very
but
nice.
It's free. It's the way we do it. So it's
that's
good.
fantastic.
Look after our users.
Well,
so they're
great.
the key things. Apart from that, we've added in some new partnership with X-Rite, a color calibration leader. So the same way that you calibrate in post-production your monitors,
you can do calibration.
You can now
with
calibration on that very fast, very accurate
partnership
system.
with X-Rite.
Yep, with X-Rite. So that's available now. You don't have to buy an Atomos specific model. It's the existing
X-Rite will do
i1
it.
Pro calibration. So that's good. And we're showcasing a technology partnership with G-Tech. So later on in the year, we haven't announced the specifics yet, but it'll be, what you'll be able to do is take our Master Caddy system, which as you know, lets you put any of your own SSDs in.
Pop them in and you're good to go.
A third of the cost of proprietary media.
Yep.
So nice affordable media here when you're recording. You'll be able to take those out and work inside the G-Tech system for RAID arrays and things. So you don't have to take your SSDs out anymore. Your caddies continue on in the workflow.
They'll fit right in.
They'll go straight into single and dual, desktop series with G-Tech, or 4-bay, 6-bay, 8-bay RAID systems that they've got in the EV series. So we think that's cool as well. I think
that's a great partnership. Cool. I mean, if there's someone who's a big name in data and drives and stuff like that, G-Tech is definitely the one to be working with.
So yeah, we're pretty stoked. So they're all the key updates from NAB.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys. I know that was quite a bit, but always a lot of stuff coming from Atomos. You guys just keep making these things better and better every time. So stay tuned, guys, and I'm going to have a lot more coming for you from NAB 2016.